Right, it is Friday in the morning. I welcome you to Tea in the European Union. I'm your host. My name is Dennis Ilukena on this edition of the program. And of course, this particular morning we'll be looking at how we can support smallholder farmers in integrating all parts of the value chain. And of course, joining me on this particular edition is Enterprise Zambia Challenge Portfolio Manager Alex Mugova. Good to have you on the show and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Great. Now, let me once again point out that I'm so glad and so happy to be with you on this interaction, and we're looking forward to learn more on the topic at hand. So feel free. It is Radio 2, and you are being listened to by almost everyone within the borders of Zambia. Once again, welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Great. So for starters, I heard the other time Enterprise Zambia being talked about. So we can maybe pick it up from there and recap on what Enterprise Zambia Challenge is all about.
Thank you very much. Enterprise Zambia Challenge Fund is a Euro 26 million facility funded by the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
And implemented by Self-Help Africa and Imani Development. We also work very closely with the government ministries, particularly the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock.
Mm-hmm.
The program provides support to agribusinesses in the form of grants and technical assistance to enable the agribusinesses to integrate smallholder farmers and fish farmers into viable and sustainable value chains as customers or suppliers.
Mm.
The agribusinesses are also required in their projects to assist the smallholder farmers and fish farmers to implement climate smart agricultural practices so as to accelerate the transition to a green economy consistent with the EU Green Deal.
That's good to know, and we really appreciate that coming up from you. Now, the objective is to integrate smallholder farmers in the agriculture value chain. Now, since the start of the project, what have you observed? Are there any challenges that you can point out to, as in regards to integrate farmers in the value chain?
Yes, there are both challenges and also some positives to talk about so far. So maybe let me start always with the good things, which are the positives.
Great.
The positives we've seen so far are clear evidence that by agribusinesses working with smallholder farmers, that has significantly improved farmers' access to inputs, for example, like seed.
Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of these farmers are being contracted as outgrowers, and obviously access to good seed is critical for a farmer to be able to get a good yield and good output. So that's a positive we've seen. We've also seen a positive in terms of farmers getting access to extension services provided by these the companies that we have contracted. Then we have also another positive in terms of training. A lot of training is now being delivered to farmers, again, which enhances their ability to produce more efficiently and effectively. We are talking here training in terms of good agronomic practices, and also training in terms of, like I said earlier on, climate smart agricultural practices, things like soil mulching, minimum tillage, and so on. Then, of course, at the end of the day, why a farmer produces is to be able to sell to the market. So again, very effective offtake arrangements now exist between the companies and the farmers that they contract, which of course then encourages farmers to produce more. So that's on the positive side, very encouraging. Of course, there are also challenges. The whole reason why we do any project is because there are challenges.
Yeah.
If there were no challenges, we wouldn't be doing enterprise as a project. Yes. So there are a few challenges. Of course, some of the challenges, clear ones, are building that strong relationship between the agribusinesses and the farmers. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to build that trust and confidence between the two parties. And particularly in cases where previously some agribusinesses went into an area, contracted farmers, but then reneged on their promise of buying back whatever the farmers are producing. So that then takes time to rebuild that confidence. So those are some of the sort of main challenges and successes we've seen so far. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Now, we have some of some partner companies that are doing very well, such as Good Nature Agro, GNA. Now, Good Nature Agro mentioned that digitalization is the key issue for integration of farmers in the value chain. Would you agree with this statement?
I agree 100%, and in fact, it's not only me who agrees, but I would say more important, the companies themselves that we are all working with really now believe this is the way to go. Why is digitalization so important and critical? First of all, for a company to be able to manage, say, 1,000 smallholder farmers or fish farmers as outgrowers, there's no way that company can do it efficiently, doing the old way of keeping heaps of files of paper. So digitalization enables a company to keep very accurate records on who those farmers are, where are they located, how much land is each farmer cultivating, how much they are producing in terms of yield and output, and of course at the end of the day, how much is a company able to buy from those farmers, translating into incomes for those farmers. So keeping such records, digitalization becomes very, very critical to ensure that happens. More important also in the case of GNA, which you have just mentioned, which is one of the companies we are quite proud of so far. What they are going to do also with the digitalization is actually maintain a record of these farmers in terms of how much they are selling to the company year after year. And after a few years, what that will do is build a track record of those farmers, which they can now present to banks when farmers want to borrow loans from the banks, to say, here is our evidence. This farmer we can vouch has been working with us for so many years. This is their production record. This is their income sales records. And hence, it becomes a lot easier to make those farmers bankable and hopefully secure loans from banks. So digitalization is really critical for all that process to happen. It's actually a way of transforming these farmers to become commercial farmers. Very, very important.
Great. You're listening to Tea in the European Union live on ZNBC Radio 2, and we're discussing how we can support smallholder farmers in integrating all parts of the value chain. And I'm speaking to Alex Mugova, Portfolio Manager, Enterprise Zambia Challenge. And of course, this is a discussion that you should not miss and follow, because it will help you in one way or the other in getting to understand how this support can do come through. Now, as we continue this particular discussion, Alex, how hard is it, for the partner companies to find ways to integrate smallholder farmers? Are the farmers organized in groups or cooperatives?
Yes, I would say it's not hard at all for any company that is in agribusiness and knows what they are doing. It's not a difficult task to get farmers. As you say, farmers, yes, most farmers, what we've discovered in this country, are organized into groups and cooperatives. So that makes it very easy. Secondly, also, farmers, what is critical is always to build that trust, like I said earlier on. Because at the end of the day, what a farmer wants is to be able to produce and to be able to sell to a reliable and profitable market. So once companies demonstrate that, it's very, very easy to see a lot of farmers coming on board to be contracted either as suppliers or customers, like I said earlier on. So we don't really see any problem on that. Also very important, I think, is those few companies who are working with these farmers must demonstrate results. Once the farmers see that those who are participating are really making a change on their lives in terms of productivity, in terms of output, and in terms of income. There's always then the crowding in that happens. More farmers seeing and coming on board.
Right.
Yeah.
There is always, an understanding in terms of, one feeling, something to be much easier if they belong to some other part of some sort. Now, in this particular regard, we want to find out from you if there is anything like a subsector that one should belong to in order to have a easier, collaboration with, smallholder farmers.
Again, I would say our experience so far, it's relatively easy, particularly in the crops subsector. We've seen a lot of the companies we have contracted so far working in value chains like the legumes, soybean, cowpeas, groundnuts. We found that those value chains to be fairly attractive and easy for companies to get the number of smallholders that they want to integrate. Basically, again, it comes back to farmers, like everybody else, are rational economic agents. So what do? They calculate what does it mean if I participate. And if they see they'll be able to make a man out of it, they will definitely participate. Similarly, sectors like livestock are also fairly attractive. We have a few companies that are in that sector already that we are supporting. So really, those are what I would see. We have sort of struggled so far to get companies into aquaculture, which, like I said earlier on, is the other one other value chain we are very keen to support. But fortunately, so far, we have 2 companies that were contracted, and we are hoping in our call for, which we are currently running, we should be able to attract a few more aquaculture companies to come on board.
Right, sensitization has always been a core for people, to really grasp and get to understand, ideas that are being put in cross. Now, is there a need to sensitize the private sector in this regard, the education sector, or just, the government, on getting more support for smallholder farmers in the value chain?
Definitely. Sensitization is part of the game. It's a necessary, I would say it's a necessary but not sufficient condition. You must sensitize, but beyond sensitization, there's also, like I said again, the need to demonstrate results by those companies that are already working with smallholder farmers. Because by demonstrating results, that is the best way of presenting the evidence, both to the farmers and also to relevant government institutions and other market actors, to really say, if you work with the smallholder farmers, integrate them as your customers or suppliers as an agribusiness, it has a big impact in terms of your top and bottom line as a business, and also very important, it has a very positive impact in terms of improving productivity, output for the smallholder farmers, and above all, improving their incomes and overall help them overall to move out of poverty.
Right. As we conclude, we know that where you stand, you are able to see, your immediate neighbor, even those that are at, a distance. Now, I want to relate this to continents and, of course, countries within those continents. When looking at those others, how long will it take for Zambian farmers to get to that same point of integration in the value chains?
I would hesitate to give a timeline. I think it's very risky to give a timeline. Having said that, I think what I want to emphasize is it's doable. It has been done elsewhere, and I see no reason why it cannot be done in Zambia. I'm very optimistic it's doable. But what for that to happen and to accelerate the process of integration, I think the key issues, again, going back to what I've said already, is ensuring that smallholder farmers have access to what I would call the key drivers for that to happen. Would be ensuring farmers have access to inputs, particularly seed, good quality seed, ensuring that farmers have access to good training on good agronomic practices, climate smart agriculture, so as to enable them to adapt and mitigate the impact of climate change, which we all know is a real issue. Ensuring farmers have access to affordable finance, because if we want farmers to be busy, to be in business, they need finance. which is affordable also. Very, very important. So we need our banks, for example, financial institutions, to really understand the business of agriculture and come up with the tailored financial solutions appropriate to the needs of agriculture. I think that's very, very important. Then also in all countries, if you look at all countries that have been successful in agriculture, commercialization of agriculture is critical. And that comes as a result of mechanization. So you cannot expect farmers to continue and grow when they use the old traditional method of digging their pieces of land and so on. Yeah. So mechanization becomes critical so that farmers can increase the land that they work on. They can become more efficient in what they are doing and so on. So on this, I think I must be very, I'm very happy, and I must share this with the audience to say we have now onboarded also a company that is into mechanization, Saro Agro Industrial. I'm sure our listeners know this company. So there's a real opportunity now to work with this company and help farmers to move into mechanization of their agricultural activities. And very important also to know that this company will be working with a lease finance company. So that makes then addresses the issue of finance that I've just talked about. So with all those things put in place, I'm very optimistic that it will be maybe in the next decade or two, it should be able to make that transition and get most of our smallholder farmers in Zambia effectively integrated into viable and sustainable value chains.
Great. So one word for the final part. Near future, long future. Is it near or long? Near.
I would say near and medium. Near and medium, yes.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, and we wish you, all the best as we carry on, doing what is best, for the country and the region, not forgetting the continent at large.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having this discussion with you.
Great. So we've been having tea with the European Union on Radio 2 of the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation. We've been looking at how we can support smallholder farmers in integrating all parts of the value chain. My guest has been Alex Mugova, Portfolio Manager, Enterprise Zambia Challenge. My name is Dennis. Let's have tea again next week at the same time.